Welcome to Lead Up, Leadership Gwinnett's podcast dedicated to showcasing initiatives that truly impact our community and the incredible leaders behind them. I'm your host, Logan Serrano, Director of Marketing and Communications with Leadership Gwinnett. And today I have joining me Alisa Toney. She is our Chairwoman of the Leadership Gwinnett Foundation Board of Directors, as well as the Senior Director of Development at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, lovingly known as PCOM. She's also a proud member of the Leadership Gwinnett class of 2013. Best class ever.
Best class ever.
So welcome, Chairwoman Toney. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Logan. That was such a beautiful introduction.
Alisa has over 20 years of experience in higher education as a fundraiser, an administrator, and even a lecturer. So in her current role at PCOM, she oversees the annual giving, major gifts, and the corporate and foundation relations teams. So she works very closely with the college's leadership to develop the strategy, leadership, and implementation of the school's fundraising activities. So as for her connection to Leadership Gwinnett, she has served on all the chair roles. She has been a co-chair, tri-chair, steering committee chair, and management team chair. And now she serves on the foundation board of directors as the chairwoman. So we're very fortunate to have her. It is a lifelong commitment sometimes with Leadership Gwinnett. Yeah. We'll dive a little bit deeper into her journey in a moment, but I wanted to mention and point out a couple of things. She serves on the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, and also the Association of Fundraising Professionals, as well as Northside Gwinnett's Women's Leadership Group. So she is very heavily involved in the community. She has also received the Most Powerful and Influential Women's Award from the Pennsylvania Diversity Council, which is pretty cool. And I also am very blessed and honored to call her a mentor and a friend. Oh. So thank you so much for joining us today. Excited to have you to talk to our audience a bit more about your leadership journey, and also to give us a brief update on Leadership Gwinnett, as well as the advancement world a little bit. So we'll dive right into it if you're ready. I got a quick question for you.
Thank you so much, Logan. So I've been a student of leadership principles for the majority of my life, I would say. From being a little girl, my first teacher, if you will, was my great-grandmother. She was somebody that I spent lots of time with, and she was my first example of a servant leader. I saw her being of service to her family, to those in her neighborhood, to her church, and to her community, and anybody who was blessed to cross her path. And so she was a solid example of being able to lead from wherever you sit. And I didn't know at the time what I was witnessing, but as I grew older and started to read and learn more about leadership, I realized she was doing all that the books were talking about. So I immersed myself in readings over the years, like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Principles, Jack Canfield's Success Principles, John Maxwell, 21 Laws of Leadership. And I would just read books, business biographies, to read about leadership in practice, if you will, of some of our great business leaders. And through those examples, I would just glean certain pieces to create my own personal brand, which includes having personal accountability and responsibility, valuing and respecting others, and then trusting myself. And so using those principles has placed me in various situations to serve and work. And so as a proud member of Leadership Gwinnett's class of 2013, as you mentioned, I started on a trajectory that took me from being a member of that class all the way to the foundation board, where I currently sit as chair.
So tell us, did you start volunteering with Leadership Gwinnett the year after you graduated from the program?
The very next year.
Golly, so that's like over 10 years now.
It has been 10 years, and it does feel like a lot.
Yes, it is.
And just when I thought, okay, great, I've done this, it'd be a knock on the door, or I'll say, I enjoyed that so much, what else can I do?
Yes.
So yes, it's been one experience, one role after the next.
I love it. And we're not letting you go either. So we'll keep her on for indefinitely. I love that. Thank you for sharing, especially some of those books that you read as well, and that your grandmother had so much of an impact on you.
Yes,
that's so sweet.
Yes. I miss her, but she was a tremendous teacher in so many ways.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing. So moving over to the advancement world, with over 20 years of experience in fundraising and development, So what experiences have shaped your approach to advancement in your current role with PCOM, since we kind of already talked about Leadership Gwinnett?
Sure. So, also, in addition to leadership, some of my other lifelong passions include higher education, service to others, and inspiring others towards greatness. My first fundraising job, I love to tell this story, was as a work study student. I was a telephone caller to the alumni at Tulane University back in the 1980s.
That's awesome.
And I had no idea that there was a whole career where you could just talk to people about your shared experience and things that you believed in, and through telling your stories, influence them to give of their time, their talent, and their treasure. And so over time, I realized there were other ways to do that type of work. And so I didn't know that 25 years later, I would have a career to span over 25 years, telling people stories and getting them to volunteer, engage, and financially support the institutions that I was affiliated with. Since that first job, I actually had real jobs at institutions like Atlanta University, Georgia State University, Spelman College, and Emory University. And I've learned a lot of best practices in advancement and fundraising. The biggest lesson is being mindful of the culture in which you operate. What I learned is that what you do at one institution, you may not be able to do at another institution. It's so important that you stay donor-centric, donor-focused, that you pay attention to the mission of the institution, and that you look at the culture of philanthropy in that place. I think that one of the reasons I find ease in the work that I do is because I value people.
Yes, yeah.
And I also never work at a place that I don't truly believe in.
I can imagine that would make your job kind of difficult if you didn't.
It
Yes.
is, but I can't tell you how many people go because they want the title,
Right.
they want the great, network. I really must believe in the institution and its mission. And so that's one of the reasons why I have remained in higher ed fundraising, because again, it's two of my passions. And I call the work that I do the dance.
The dance.
It allows me to meet people where they are. I attempt to minimize any types of bias.
Yep.
And I look for synergy between the needs of the donor and the mission of the institutions that I represent.
That's awesome.
And it is very much like a dance.
Yeah.
Some people, it's the slow waltz. Some people, it might be the tango. It might be Zumba, something high energy. You have to just, right. Yeah. You got to kind of meet people where they are.
That's
and
cool.
give them what they're looking for.
That's
and,
awesome.
Be patient. And follow their leads in many cases.
So I also read that you previously did some lecturing. I know we're kind of going off script here. Did you teach classes, or what did that look like? That's cool.
So I don't tell many people this because it feels like one of those little setbacks in life.
Right.
But I am all but dissertation for my PhD in higher education, educational policy studies. So at Georgia State University, I taught graduate level courses for master's degree program students.
Oh my gosh.
Methods in education, statistics classes. I know. So I don't tell people this, but I'm a statistics maven.
Wow.
Yes. And so my master's was in educational research.
Very cool.
And again, I've done all of the coursework. And so one day when I'm not putting kids through school, or I find a smidgen of space in my life, I'll go back and do it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
That's neat.
But yes, it was at Georgia State and in their master's program.
I love that. I was reading that, and that just really caught my eye. I thought that was neat. So talking about some of the work you do at PCOM, you obviously, and with Leadership Gwinnett, you lead teams.
Yes.
So can you share some strategies that contribute to a healthy team? You talked about culture as it relates to donors and the workplace, but how do you motivate your team in the realm of advancement work?
Okay, I believe that there are certain principles that contribute to a healthy and motivated team, regardless of industry. Similar to taking a plane ride and the attendant says, put the mask on your face first.
Absolutely.
And faced with turbulence, I believe that you start in the mirror. I believe that you take care of yourself first and you lead by example. Another example of one of my leadership teachers, my father, Roy, he was raised at a time when your word was bond. He was the oldest in his family or with his siblings, and he led our family by example. He took responsibility and taught us to take responsibilities for your actions and do it in a civilized manner. And he's what I would say when I think about John Maxwell's law of respect, respecting others and starting with yourself. Something else that I believe contributes to a team being healthy and motivated is finding your personal harmony. I really encourage people to do that. You've heard me say this, and I say it quite a bit, is that I'm a better employee because I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I'm a better mother because I work. This is my personal truth.
Yes.
This is how I'm wired. And I set priorities based on what is most important at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of Maxwell's law of priorities, which really talks about activity is not accomplishment. Just being busy is not enough.
Right, right.
It also reminds me of Stephen Covey's quadrant 1, which
Mm-hmm.
is doing what is urgent and important.
Yep.
So when you're setting priorities and looking at what you should be doing, you need to pay attention to the mission, of course,
Yep.
and then the things that are important. And then specifically for fundraising, because we're so metrics driven, some of the things that I do is make sure that there are clear expectations. Everybody is aware of the goal.
Yes.
And so making sure that benchmarks in place and that we are reviewing it and discussing it regularly. I do brief meetings weekly with my team.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that are remote.
Mm-hmm.
We also have monthly strategy meetings, and then we have quarterly one-on-one meetings.
Wow.
And so that helps me to get into a deep dive with my team members before we have annual reviews and things like that.
Yes.
It also helps me to manage them in a way that's unique to who they are and their skill set. And another thing that I do is regularly perform 360 reviews with my team. And so I give them an opportunity on a monthly basis through a reporting system to give me feedback.
Wow, that's awesome and so important.
It's so important, I believe.
Is it anonymous?
Well, they give it to me. So
kidding.
yeah, but I mean, and I read them, and and so what it does is allows them to revisit something that may have. Sometimes something will gnaw at you and you just wish you had said something.
Yes.
Then time passes. So it gives them an opportunity to bring a topic back up for discussion or to clarify, or it was something they wanted to say and didn't have enough courage to. And then over time, maybe they build up courage. But it just gives them an opportunity to turn the tables and lead the discussion and talk about what they need to be successful. I think that's very important because sometimes as leaders, it's our responsibility to chart the course, to manage, to assess. But sometimes we may be moving in a direction and people follow us because we're the leader.
Right.
But they're not completely bought in.
Yes.
I want people that are responsible, that lead their work in a way that they are really doing it in a way that they can be their most successful. And so I give them the opportunity to give me feedback.
Can you talk a little bit more about what Leadership Gwinnett means to you and how that organization has impacted you personally or professionally or both? I mean, I think it's, across the board for everyone who goes through the program, but I'm just curious how it has impacted you.
First of all, this is a great program. And I will start off by saying the consistency in the leadership and personnel with Lisa Zakin as CEO and president, and now with you stepping into your new role. It makes it easy when you have people that you really respect and who you see are committed to the organization, do the work that they do. It's easy for a person like me to step up and contribute however I can. That being said, it started off over 10 years ago. I wanted to find new ways to be professionally relevant.
Right.
And to do more in the community. And so Leadership Gwinnett was on my short list.
Yes.
And so we mentioned that I was in the class of 2013. But at that time, I had lived in this county for over 15 years.
Oh, wow.
But being in that class exposed me to things that I otherwise would not have been able to see. It challenged me to read the paper, and watch the news and listen to current events with a different lens. It really helped me to shift my perspective, to broaden my perspective.
Cool.
And so very valuable. And I also learned to use my voice in a way that I had not before. And so there were just so many things that were positives. The thing that I feel most excited about, though, is, I made a joke. I opened my tax bill one day and, you see this name at the bottom and, it's just a name. And then one day I'm on the elevator and I go, wait a minute. I know you. I
That's
know
cool.
you, so my network expanded. But professionally and personally, I have met so many leaders across this county, and I am fortunate enough to call some of them friends today. And so that part has been tremendous. And then on a personal note, my son Thomas was a member of GSLT, the
Yes.
county student leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
And when he graduated in 2019, he was one of the 2 commencement speakers. And when I showed up at the ISC for the ceremony, people that I knew through Leadership Gwinnett and just through the community said, Alisa, like, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm here, my son. And Thomas is your son? I said, he is. They said, now it makes sense.
That's cool. Connect the dots.
And I had not said you need to do this.
Right.
And I certainly did not encourage his level of commitment, but here he was making this commencement speech, and I felt so proud. I felt proud as a mother, but I felt proud because he had watched me in this journey through Leadership Gwinnett and through the work that I was doing, and it motivated him to go out and be a leader. So I am very excited about where he's going to go next. And, we're always talking about future leaders and inspiring others. And so to just think that had happened right in my household makes me very proud.
Came full circle.
Full circle.
And I loved how you shared all the different things about Leadership Gwinnett. I hear it all the time that this program makes this county of 1 million people feel smaller in a way that, you start realizing who these people are. You start making these connections with these folks. And I just appreciate you sharing a little bit about how it impacted you. And I always mention this in every podcast, but about being a mother and just seeing it come through in your children and how sweet and special that is. So thank you for sharing a little bit more about Leadership Gwinnett. We're nearing 40 years. We were founded in 1985, and so next year will be 40 years for us. So why would you urge community leaders to apply? You just explained how it was impactful for you.
Yes.
But we're about to open up applications for this next class.
Yes.
So give your spiel.
I don't know. You may have just done
it. I might have.
But listen, I can confidently say that Leadership Gwinnett, I believe, will remain one of the best leadership programs in the country for another 40 years. Being a leader will never go out of fashion.
Yes.
And so if you want to have impact on your community, Leadership Gwinnett is a great place to start. Our mission to educate, equip, and engage is a solid foundation. And we must be, or citizens of any community must be aware of that community's liabilities and assets. We must understand our resources, whether they're intellectual, technological, physical, or tangible. And we must communicate and participate in ways to be innovative. And to create new solutions. And so Leadership Gwinnett is one of those organizations where through our learning days, Education Day, Regional Day, Health and Human Services, Building Community Leaders Day, that we open up so much dialogue. We're bringing in so many speakers. We're talking about hot topics. We are looking at the problems. We are creating solutions. We're building people up to be leaders in other ways. I mean, I think about people that have become mayors. I think about one of my classmates who was recently elected as a council person. I think about people that are taking leadership roles, whether it's in education, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in banking, whether it's in real estate. And so that just makes me proud because many of them will tell the story that Leadership Gwinnett was a part of their formula for success. And so for anybody out there who is considering how they can remain relevant, how they can give back to their community, how they can surround themselves with people with a growth mentality, people that are committed to do good work for a good county or a great place, then Leadership Gwinnett is a place to start. And I say, whether it's through the annual program or through Glance, there is a place for everybody who's looking to, really solidify their leadership skills.
Make sure you look for the Leadership Gwinnett applications for the class of 2025. They're opening up at the end of January, and they'll be due March 25th. So, Chairwoman Toney, we've talked a bit about what you do at PCOM in your advancement work and then also in your role with Leadership Gwinnett and the Foundation Board. Let's talk a little bit more about you personally.
Oh my goodness.
I love to bring it up. Tell us a personal habit, ritual, a mantra, or a belief that you have that contributes positively to your effectiveness as a leader, and that means a lot to you. What does that look like?
Well, first, Logan, I'll say this is a very important question. I think that all leaders should be able to say that there is something that they do outside of themselves that positions them to lead.
Yes.
And so for me, the first thing I want to say is my belief in God. I pray daily. I pray evening, morning, and at noon. Will I pray and cry aloud, and He will hear my voice. I start off with a day of gratitude. Regardless of the circumstances, I always believe that there's something to be thankful for. I also use positive affirmations. This is something that has come and gone and come and gone, but Louise Hay is one of my favorite inspirational teachers. And so she has lots of affirmations, but one that I use often is all is well.
All is well.
Just whenever you feel that moment where you feel triggered or you feel nervous or you even feel very excited or you just, there's that thing rumbling up in you. I stop and get centered by simply saying all is well. I believe that things happen twice in life, first in the mind and then in reality. So it is so important to have what I call control of the mental edge. And control, just that brain talk and be really mindful of what you are allowing in your thoughts because it will influence your actions. I've also learned to trust myself and trust others. I love smart people.
Never be the smartest person in the room.
I am always looking for great leaders and people with a growth mentality. I surround myself with people like that. One of my favorite stories is the two tennis players, Martina Navratilova and Chrissy Everett. And they talked about how they were fierce competitors on the tennis courts, but they appreciated seeing each other at the matches, knowing that they were both there because they kept each other in the game. I thought that was so important. And that's why it's, for me, I love to have people around me who are doing great things, who are pushing the bar, who are raising the bar. Because it keeps me in the game. And it challenges me to, am I doing my best work? Am I doing all that I can do? And then I want to go back to something that I have really incorporated in the last few years, and it's a daily scripture, and it is Psalms 112:7. She confidently trusts the Lord to take care of her. And I have also learned that when I have a desire for a thing or a situation, that if it doesn't happen, I don't fret. I don't fret anymore because I recognize if it's for me, it'll come to me. And I truly believe that God will step in, life will step in, the universe will step in. And I did a practice of completely surrendering to that. And so again, when I'm not sure what's going to happen or what direction I take, I learn to trust myself, and then I pray. She confidently trusts the Lord to take care of her.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's some big stuff there. I loved what you said about all is well.
All is
I have
well.
a sweatshirt that says "It is well."
Oh, it is well.
And I just love that saying, and from the song too.
Yes.
It's just and like you said, trusting that it's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be okay.
Yes,
That's
and you
right.
can just release a lot of those, anxious thoughts and things.
That's right.
Hey,
that's right.
If it's meant to be, it's
that's
going to happen.
And it's okay. I mean, the thoughts are real. I mean, because I think if I could a little bit more. Mental health is really big in our communities now.
Exactly.
And that's why I really appreciate you asking this question, because we cannot say enough about this. But we don't talk about what are some of the just day-to-day solutions. They don't cost money. You could do it in your car. You could do it in the shower. You could do it in your meetings. You can just take a moment, and something as simple as all is well.
And last question here. How can community leaders support you and the work that you're doing right now with Leadership Gwinnett, and also PCOM, if there's anything at the college that we can be helping you accomplish?
Well, I know earlier we talked about anniversaries. I will first say, with Leadership Gwinnett's 40th anniversary just on the horizon, this year and every year, continue to nominate and sponsor someone for the annual program or glance. Get involved. If you're an alum, get involved as a community member. Or if you know someone, think about how you can be a speaker and how you can volunteer and support the program. Open doors for us at your company. Figure out ways to partnership with us, enhance our networking, and really just be an ambassador about our programs. most people, I would say, know someone who's
Right.
gone through the program if they haven't gone through a program. So find out about the positive things we're doing and continue to be an ambassador for the work that we do.
That's awesome.
As far as PCOM, I'm excited to say that we have just publicly launched our United and Ignited campaign, our first comprehensive campaign in many years, a couple of decades, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
And so there's going to be lots of activity on the horizon with that. This happens to be PCOM Georgia's 20th anniversary coming up next year.
Nice.
Which we're really excited about. I can't believe it was 2005 that, yes, our students entered. And I got to give a shout out to our Philadelphia campus. Just today, we had our 125th anniversary of the Philadelphia College.
I didn't realize y'all had been around that long.
That's a lot of people have not.
Yeah.
So yes, 125 years.
Very
and then
neat.
we also have a third campus down in Moultrie
Okay.
in South Georgia.
Didn't know that either.
And we will be celebrating a 5-year anniversary for that campus.
There's some big celebrations.
Big
next year.
celebrations.
Yeah.
And, we've been able to do this because we have quality healthcare programs.
Yes.
So for, similar to that, refer a student, tell students about the various programs we have at PCOM. Consider the body donation program.
Yes, very cool. Very cool stuff happening there.
I spoke to a woman whose husband recently donated his body. And so that's something to do. Look at our job board. If there are qualified applicants, people are looking for jobs. We are always looking for great people. Look at our job board. If there's something there, somebody, send them our way. Be an ambassador for us. Also, we are all out in the community, whether it's Swanee Town Center and Holly Jolly, whether it's the Chambers Button Down Dash, whether it's Paint Gwinnett Pink over with the hospital. And then we even go into Atlanta. So the Sarah J. Gonzalez Memorial Park, we support their day of service. So our students and our faculty and our staff are out participating in other community events. So if you know about those things and see those things, talk about the positive work that we do, because we are very, very excited to be a part of this community and finding ways to support the citizens of the greater Atlanta area and Gwinnett County. And so I got to make this plug. I wouldn't be a fundraiser, right?
Yes,
if none of these things suit you, find an organization or cause that speaks to you personally and write a check.
Yes.
Write a check because it's the volunteerism, it's the time and the talent, but it's also the financial contributions that sustain organizations like this and allow Leadership Gwinnett, PCOM, and all of the other organizations and nonprofits out there to do the work that they do.
Exactly. I appreciate the plug. I appreciate for for Leadership Gwinnett as well, the plug that you did there, but also wanted to mention that PCOM is a proud sustaining partner of Leadership Gwinnett, and they truly do care about the community. They're heavily involved, and we're so thankful for them and opening up their doors for some of our learning days and getting to showcase their cool space that they have and their amazing facilities that they have over in Swanee, right?
That's right.
Yes. So very cool, and thank you so much for sharing. I'll be sure to share the links to some of these things that you're talking about, especially the job board. I think that's really neat too, especially keeping some talent that was educated here in Gwinnett County, keeping it here in Gwinnett County is fantastic. So we'll be sure to share those links in the video description as well as the email that goes out about this. So any last words for the good of the podcast?
Oh, for the good of the podcast. Again, Logan, you're doing a fantastic job. I have called these years from the onset of the pandemic to current day leadership in crisis. That's been my little brand. It's been a lot. I've witnessed so much happen in the community and then on a personal front with some of our friends and colleagues. And so I just want to applaud you for the work that you are doing and how you have stepped up. I want to send a very sincere thank you to all of the members, our over 2,000 alumni network of Leadership Gwinnett, all of the volunteers on a committee, whether you are on learning day committees or steering committee, our very talented retreat committee, our study group facilitators. If you are stepping in just in a unique role on an ad hoc basis, if you will, just really thank you to all of those people that are part of our great network and in this great community for the work that we all do to make sure we remain excellent.
And thank you for saying that. And, just to mention it takes 250 volunteers to make this program run every single year. And I think over 10,000 hours of volunteer work to make this program great. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you to our team. It was very cool to have you on our podcast today to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing in the advancement role, but also about Leadership Gwinnett.
Oh, yes.
So it was a kind of a cool podcast this go around, and we're all out of time for today. But thank you so much, Chairwoman Toney, for spending some time with me today and giving the audience the chance to get to know you a little bit better.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Logan.
All right. Well, we'll see everyone on the next Lead Up podcast.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.